Hello everyone, I'm Sizhe from Carnegie Mellon University. Today on behalf of our team of 4, I'm here to present on domain-informed vision transformers for detecting long-wavelength and periodic anomalies in structural health monitoring. To start with, current broken rail detection world is transforming from a reactive manner to a real-time manner. And this manifests into a research objective of our project, which is to create an onboard monitoring and computationally embedded system that automatically detects broken rails as they occur in collaboration with web tech cooperation. As this is quite a long research objective, so we'll break it down a little bit. So onboard monitoring refers to these sensors embedded on the locomotive, which could be vibration sensors that are accelerometers collecting acceleration, or they could be vision sensors that are camera capturing images. And computational embedded technology refers to the capability to process data online. And broken rails as they occur refers to the fact that we want the rail detection to be done prior to the next train passing. And despite these technological advances, broken rail detections are still largely remained in manual inspection and fixed systems like these wayside defect detectors. And the current transition to these indirect monitoring at research level has shown actually a lot of benefits, like longer coverage, finer resolution, and a lower deployment and maintenance cost. However, indirect monitoring does have its own problem that's currently hindering the transition from research promise to broader industry practice. And these drawbacks include like limited sensitivity to small defects and like noise contamination, and all of these adding up further limit the generalizability of different systems or algorithms across different trains, speed, and conditions. And in the meantime, some research has decided to push indirect monitoring boundary even further by incorporating AI and multi-model systems. And these systems aim to detect broken rail by fusing both the vision and acceleration data. So this is exactly what we're trying to do here in this project. And one thing we like to point out is that the data fusion here is very much similar to the existing detection strategy, where there are also merging mechanical signatures and visual inspections. However, we like to also point out that due to the lack of efficient way to validate or standardize these approaches, the development of these approaches is very much still on the research level. And so in this presentation, we'll focus on the vision side, as they provide a more direct high-resolution evidence that covers diverse type of anomalies. And in the next few pages, we'll first look into what are some of these challenges that are currently surrounding the vision-based systems. So the first research challenge is detecting these subtle evolving anomalies. And these are often linked to the track periodic structures and can often evade generic detection method. And these subtle issues frequently manifest around these periodic components like rail joints, fasteners, and slippers, and they often appear as these nuanced changes in rail surface texture, wear, or stress patterns. And generic detectors like PCA or standard autoencoders often struggle here because they lack those sensitivity for these domain-specific patterns that emit the normal variations and noise. And the second key challenge we like to point out is discerning these gradual long-wavelength degradations, such as track twist or longitudinal level defects. So these defects often develop slowly over an extended distance. And in fact, these long wavelengths anomalies developed incrementally. So that means the deviation in any single short track segment can be almost imperceptible in isolation. To make it more visually understandable, if we analyze individual image frames independently, the visual evidence of such a defect can be minimal. This makes the detection of these defects is extremely difficult without considering the broad spatial temporal context or the trend developing over a much longer section of track. And adding on top of that, what makes things even worse is these real-world operational variabilities, such as the constantly changing speeds of the train, or these fluctuating lighting conditions, or these diverse weather effects. All of these introduce significant noise and complexities, and these factors can easily mask the subtle signals of gradual degradations, making consistent detections even more challenging. So in this work, we'll target these two key challenges for AI-enabled vision systems. So let's start by looking at how we tackle the first challenge. So in order to tackle the first challenge, our model uses domain knowledge through masking the input and adding speed as additional information within the input. Here, you can see an example of our real masking in action on the left, and it basically aimed to isolate the relevant real regions. And apart from that, we also feed the train speed profile shown on the right. Basically the train speed profile it serves as an input towards the model, and this provides a crucial context because it helps the model to differentiate between visual changes that are only due to speed variations versus those that might genuinely be an anomaly. And to solve the second challenge, we'll start by introducing the core of our approach, which is vision transformer. So the inherent architecture of the vision transformer is actually very well suited for capturing the complex visual textures present on real surfaces. This diagram shown here illustrates the standard vision transformer. An input image is segmented into different patches, and then they're being linearly embedded. The positional information is then being added into these embeddings, and the resulting sequence of tokens is then processed by the transformer encoder. The output of the encoder, which is a set of contextualized representations, is then typically used for either reconstruction or classification. And in this task, what we're essentially doing is reconstruction because we don't have any label data available. And the key architectural modification for our sequential understanding is the fact that we are now conditioning the current frames analysis on an encoded summary derived from previous frames. So as shown here, you can see the output representation of the summary token from the transformer encoder processing the previous frame is used to initialize or inform the summary token for the current frame's processing. And we also validate our approach within a real-world testbed. Basically, these data is collected from an operational rail line in Orbisonia, Pennsylvania, in collaboration with the RDC. And the data here is captured via an onboard vision system with a high-resolution global shutter camera. So the camera records these continuous sequential images of rails during the train operation. And this visual data is basically collected along a 1.5-mile track stretch, and we are able to collect multiple train runs so that we have a diverse data set covering various conditions and features. We also exhaustively collected all the anomalies along the rail, although we're only using them as benchmarking purposes, meaning that since we're doing reconstruction, we don't input any of the labeled information into the model itself. The label is merely for benchmarking purposes. And along these anomalies, a significant portion of these identified anomalies is actually related to these deviations in periodic patterns, such as with real joints or real fasteners. So this helps us directly evaluating our approach's performance against the first challenges. And the testbed also includes these instances of gradual track geometry deviation, which represent our second challenge. And when we turn to the preliminary result for subtle periodic anomalies, for the anomalies that's highlighted on the left, the graph on the right shows average reconstruction loss around the known defect, and the loss is higher in the anomalous segment within the red color compared to the adjacent normal segments in blue color. So this indicates our model is learning to identify these deviations. And data from another similar anomaly locations shows the same trend. Reconstruction error peaks at the defects. And for more gradual long-range changes, our results show these early promises, but it also highlights the need for more consistency. Because as you can see, while some anomalous sections do have a higher reconstruction error, the pattern is not really that consistent compared to these more transient defects. And for final takeaways, first of all, the sequential understanding allows us to learn normal rail dynamics effectively. And secondly, we're able to show that the reconstruction error can indeed highlight various kinds of track anomalies. Thirdly, we're also fully aware that we need to further refine the model robustness towards other conditions like environmental changes, and we'll also focus on further benchmarking against these known anomalies. Thank you. That's all for my presentation.